Welcome back to Assassin's Creed: The Complete Story. We're going to continue getting you ready for Assassin's Creed 4 by filling you more in on what happened with Haytham. Today we're going to cover the end of Assassin's Creed 3 and the end of the book. All information gathered here comes from the Assassin's Creed wiki, us playing the game, and us reading the books. What's your opinion? Let us know in the comments down below. Do you think that Haytham and Connor could have actually brought the Templars and the Assassins together if a slight misunderstanding hadn't happened? You'll find out what that misunderstanding is in the next video. Now let's continue with this video. Now that Haytham is effectively the Grand Master of the Templar Order of the Colonies, his search for the first civilization temple, or Storehouse as they were calling it, has now officially begun. His first goal was to unite his new partners, the Templars, who were over here ahead of him. He would build his group to include Thomas Hickey, Charles Lee, Benjamin Church, and finally Pitcairn. Once he gathered together his group of Templars, Haytham planned to infiltrate the Southgate Fort so he could free the local Native American slaves. They were being held there, and he had received information that they had information on the actual location of the first civilization Storehouse, so he needed their help. The raid went well and all the slaves were freed, but before he could get any useful information, they all fled to the wilderness. It would be 6 months later before Haytham would have his men track down Zio, which is the pronunciation she told Haytham to say. Since we all know I fail at pronouncing things, I'm gonna go with what she told Haytham, another American, to say. Once his men gave him the information as to her location, he would finally catch up to her while running through the snow. Well, not so much catch up to her as she would humor him and stop fleeing finally. He would ask her about the key that he held in the first civilization Storehouse. But she would ignore his line of questioning and ask him to meet her on a nearby hill. It was here that she showed Haytham the soldiers of a man named Bulldog Braddock. The same Braddock that at one point had been helping Haytham find his stepsister. Haytham suggested that they stop Braddock by killing him, showing that he was fed up with Braddock's change in attitude and lack of help on the situation. Through various stealthy techniques, Haytham would learn that Braddock had refused to stop the French and Indian War, even though he was given multiple opportunities to do so. Taking this information and the plans of what's going on back to Zio, Haytham would devise an ambush plan. He would rally his troops and the local Native Americans into ambushing and killing Braddock. Haytham himself would be forced to chase Braddock down and finish him off, which he claimed he actually had done. Upon helping Zio, she would meet with him at the Storehouse door. Haytham was ecstatic to find that he had discovered the first civilization's Storehouse. And he was even more ecstatic to learn that his time on this land would be ending very soon. But he would only discover that he had in fact gotten the wrong piece of Eden. And while they had the Storehouse and a piece of Eden, they weren't the same one. So that means that Haytham has to stay on this land for much, much longer while he figures out how to get into this door. While he was upset by this, he took it as an opportunity to spend more time with Zio and got much closer to her. After inducting Charles Lee into the Templar Order, which is where the gameplay for Assassin's Creed 3 actually ends, Haytham would spend weeks camping with Zio until Charles Lee delivered a letter. The letter stated that Jennifer Kenway had been found. Charles Lee also told Haytham that Braddock had died of his wounds. Zio became furious as Haytham had told her that he had personally finished off Braddock. She demanded that he leave, and while Haytham wanted to fix the situation, he had to return home and finally find his stepsister, Jennifer Kenway. Haytham returned to his old mentor and friend, Birch. He returned the journal, but their relationship had been strained by everything that was going on, and Haytham was growing suspicious. He chose to tell Birch that they hadn't found the Storehouse yet, and that they had information that it was currently located in the Middle East. Haytham spent 2 years working with a friend of his until they found that Jennifer was actually being held inside of a palace in Damascus. Haytham and his friend Holden pretended to be eunuchs so they could get close to Jennifer, which worked, and they actually got her out of the building, but not before tipping off the guards. Holden stayed behind to fend off the guards while Haytham and Jennifer escaped. Eventually, Haytham would find his friend Holden being held captive in Egypt, where he was forcibly undergoing operations to actually become a eunuch. After returning home with Jennifer, she would finally reveal everything that had happened to their family to Haytham. It was in fact Birch who ordered the attack on their home so many years ago, It was because she found out that he was a Templar and warned their father Edward that Birch acted and attacked the house. She said that Birch was after Edward's journal the whole time, and Haytham realized that he had in fact delivered the journal to Birch for decoding. Haytham also realized that Braddock's mercenaries were used so that Haytham wouldn't see the Templar insignia on the men, and that Birch must have silenced Digweed himself. Haytham didn't waste any time, and once Holden was fully recovered, the trio went straight to Birch's chateau outside of France. Haytham charged right into Birch's office to end this, but it was in fact Jennifer trying to get revenge on Birch as she lunged at him. Birch got the upper hand though as he placed a sword at her throat. She struggled and eventually pushed him into a sword that was sticking out of the door, finally killing Birch. As Haytham tried to free Lucio and his mother though, Lucio put a sword into Haytham's chest for everything that Haytham put them through. It was due to this injury that Haytham was out of commission for the better part of a year. Once Haytham recovered, he would find that his friend Holden had committed suicide after becoming a eunuch, and that Jennifer had returned to Queen Anne's Square. Haytham began his trek back to the United States to build the Templar Order there, and during his time back he would write Jennifer. But as they had almost nothing in common, at this point they wrote very rarely. Upon returning, he would buy some land in Virginia and build up the Templar Order until finally launching an attack against the colonial assassins in 1763. This attack would almost kill all of them off, but he chose to leave Achilles alive since the man was broken without his family. This would prove to be the eventual downfall of Haytham, as Achilles would eventually train Haytham's own son into becoming an assassin. But we're going to find out more about that next time here at Eligible Monster. Make sure you follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and subscribe to the channel to catch the next video. Also, we've got a Let's Play channel where you can come and join us and see us just play games and goof off. Lastly, we're doing a lot of stuff over on our livestream channel, so make sure you go to twitch.tv/EligibleMonster. All links are in the description down below. And go ahead and leave a comment as to what you think happened. Do you think that Haytham and Connor could have brought the Templars and Assassins together? I think with a little bit more trying, and maybe a little less anger from Connor, that could have happened.